A very good afternoon to all of you. Today we will be starting our business ethics and CSR paper, that is MMPC 020. We start today with unit 1, that is on ethics and businesses. This is Dr. Nargis Begum taking your paper business ethics and CSR. The countries that I will be covering in this paper, the first one is introduction. Second is the distinction between business ethics and law. Third, we'll be discussing on the relevance of business ethics. We'll also discuss next on globalization and business ethics. We'll be discussing on sustainability and business ethics. And then we go on for discussing business ethics education in management curriculum. We'll discuss about effectiveness of business ethics instructions. We'll discuss is business ethics an oxymoron? And last chapter in this unit is what is business for? What and the two dominant views. Coming to what basically is business ethics. Business ethics regards the application of ethical issues in managerial decision making. Just like any other engineering ethics or medical ethics, business ethics is considered as an essential part or essential element in every managerial decision making. It guides us to find out the answers to the specific questions about evaluating the decisions as ethical or unethical, right or wrong. According to the quote by Andrew Crane and Dick Martin, business ethics is the study of business situations, the activities that are being undertaken during the businesses, the decisions that are being taken, where issues of right and wrong are being addressed. Now, management education takes into consideration business ethics. What is the purpose here? It helps us in understanding the application of ethical principles in business scenarios. It is a systematic study in the form of business ethics. It reduces decisions fraught with opinions and individual biases such that right decision can be taken. Business ethics education also provides a framework for making consistent and informed decisions. Now, coming to the outcome of business ethics education. Business ethics education, as we have already discussed, is very, very important. Why it is important? Because it will promote a culture of ethical decision making within the organizations. When you are ethical, you build trust and credibility with your stakeholders who are important for your organization. There will be risk reduction of legal issues by ensuring compliance with ethical standards. Business ethics education also enhances the overall reputation and sustainability of the business. Business ethics is crucial for making informed and unbiased managerial decisions, because if you are biased while taking the decisions, your decision making will be wrong. So business ethics helps in taking the right decision, and that too in an unbiased form. Business ethics education serves the purpose of instilling a sense of ethical responsibility in the future managers such that organizations become sustainable. The business ethics education is beneficial not only for the individual but also for the organization and the society at large. Now, coming to what basically is business ethics and law. We already know that there is a law which is operating each and every activity that we undertake. Then why there is business ethics, and what is the difference between this business ethics and law, we'll discuss. Ethics and law, as we already said, are distinct, but yet they are interconnected. Ethics extend beyond legally mandated actions. It is essential to understand the differences to appreciate the business ethics fully. Ethics helps us in finding out the principles of right and wrong, the moral values. But laws are the written codes, that is legally mandatory actions that one has to undertake in any action or any activity that we undertake. Ethics is broader, encompassing more than what is legally required. But there is certain limitations to law. What are they? Law cannot cover every ethical dilemma. Some moral questions are not addressed by the legal system because moral questions can only be addressed when you are viewing it from the ethical arena. For example, no law mandates loyalty of children to their parents or couples to each other, but business ethics can. Law is considered as a minimum standard for any organization. Law is a common minimum acceptable standard in the society, and not all the legal mandates have ethical implications. For example, the regulations for civic order may not address deeper ethical concerns. So, ethics begins where law ends. Ethics fills the gaps left by the law. Legal requirements often reflect evolving societal moral values. For example, the environmental laws influenced by ethical considerations of sustainability. Now, how these legal requirements came into inception? Laws often emerged from the ethical and the moral activist. For example, we had the women's rights, we have the LGBT rights, we have the environmental protection rights, and different activism and social movements also led to the changes in the laws reflecting to ethical concerns among the individuals. Coming to the historical context, ethical norms evolved with societal changes. For example, the efforts made by many social activists like Raja Rammohn Rai and others for women rights, social reforms also led to the changes in ethical and legal standards. Now, power structures and ethics. Through power structures and ethics, where ethics is influenced by prevailing power dynamics, upper caste, patriarchal norms, corporate power influences ethical standards. Ethical conduct is often judged by those in power because the people who are in power, they can implement the rules, they can implement the laws, they can implement the system that is mandatory for every individual in the organization to work. So power plays a very important role in implementing ethics. Civil society and media also influences a lot in implementing the ethics because civil society organizations highlight the ethical issues. Media raises public awareness and influencing the social perceptions. For example, we have the climate change, we have the CSR initiatives, we have the environmental sustainability measures, so on and so forth. Now, how the corporate responds to these ethical issues? Public awareness drives corporate initiative. For example, there are different important sustainability efforts that are being put on in response to global warming concerns in the society. CSR evolving to include corporate sustainability and responsibility. Ethics also extend beyond the scope of law, addressing deeper moral questions among the individuals. It helps in understanding the distinctions and helps appreciate the role of business ethics in organization. Ethical concerns continue to shape and be shaped by the legal standards. Now, what basically is the relevance of business ethics? We'll discuss. Now, business ethics, as we have already discussed, is very, very important as it helps in navigating between the regulatory agencies and civil society vigilance because we have to address the public demands and the media scrutiny. So it will be given by accountability and public criticism. Unless and until we raise the voice as a public, it cannot be implemented. So accountability and public criticism involves government and public accountability, wherein the democratic governments are accountable people. Authoritarian states are susceptible to public criticism. For example, we have the example of China, wherein in China, in for the consumer rights day is being celebrated, wherein one company, if it is found wrong, it is being checked very carefully. So there is an annual public reprimanding of corporations. Next is the impact of media and social media. It impacts in brand perception, wherein the media reports on corporate wrongdoing. Reputations are affected in minutes due to social media. They advertise the whatever wrongs they are doing in the companies, and then It can be done through economic globalization, wherein there is a rise of online entertainment and challenges like access to adult content for the children, because it again helps in create. It also brings about problems in finding out the content which is not eligible, which the children are not eligible to see. There is also influence of large corporations, that is the global influence, that wherein there is the impact of companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, Tencent, and Alibaba. Business ethics education through importance in understanding corporate influence on the society. Next, we have the social responsibility and resources, where there is shift in corporate capabilities from limited resources to highly skilled workforce and the financial strain. There is engagement in social causes, wherein there is participation in United Nations Millennium Sustainable Development Goals, public-private partnerships, which is the PPP. So corporate response to social issues can take place through innovative solutions like the development of new products and services addressing the social issues. For example, the response to COVID-19 lockdowns and the rise of online entertainment. Stakeholder management, we can find it out through complexities in modern societies wherein there is increased public skepticism and demand for constructive roles. The business ethics education thus helps in sensitizing the managers to legal and social obligations, understanding the stakeholder management. It also impacts the managerial decision making because it brings about impact on the stakeholders. There is importance of recognizing the effects of managerial decisions through skill development by equipping the managers with better decision making skills, enriching personal and professional lives through business ethics education. Business ethics is crucial for navigating the modern complexities and the importance of education in ethical decision making and stakeholder management. Coming to globalization and business ethics. Now we already know that after globalization we have a lot of things that are changed, and with the changing market, with the changing mindset, we have to again balance between our activities and the ethics, because if we are not incorporating ethics in the businesses, that business is not going to be sustainable. So the impact of liberalization, privatization, and globalization since 1990s is vast. There are changes in ethical landscapes of the businesses through economic globalization, wherein there is permeable national boundaries, which involves increased overseas corporate engagement. There is need for sensitivity to cultural issues. Now, cultural sensitivity, we can take the example of Middle East markets. There is importance of respecting local customs and culture so that we can do the business with them. There is sensitivity in marketing strategies, especially considering the gender biases. Now, what are the consequences of insensitivity? Potential backlash from the conservative elements. There is expansion into emerging markets, wherein there is a saturation of the Western markets. The Western MNCs are investing in emerging markets. So there can be challenges. What can be the challenges? The institutional voids, the changes because institutions differ, and different legal frameworks that are involved in my country, in their country, the ethical breaches due to unfamiliarity with the local environment. So role of business ethics education here plays a very vitally, like we go for this sensitivity training wherein the importance of understanding the legal and social obligations can be taken over. The managers can be prepared for unfamiliar ecosystem with the education. Which education? Business ethics education. The accountability and the democratic deficit can be witnessed through deterioration of businesses, wherein there is growing influence of MNCs. Accountability is mainly to the shareholders. So the result is there is democratic deficit leading to suspicions and protest, and there is call for greater corporate responsibility. And anti-globalization movements brings about growth, can be helpful in the growth of protests, wherein there is increased anti-globalization sentiments. There is demand for enhanced corporate accountability. There are different important ethical challenges in the globalized world, wherein we have to balance between the profit and the ethics. Where in the situation where we are navigating different culture, different legal environment and social landscapes, we are ensuring ethical practices while pursuing the business goals. So globalization has created new ethical challenges for the business, which one has to accept. Importance of business ethics education is very, very important in preparing our future managers, so that we can witness the competition, we can witness the competition with ethics involved, which can bring about sustainable business. Now, coming to what basically is sustainability and business ethics, which is the most sought out area nowadays, because if we are not undertaking the business ethically, we are not sustainable. So we will discuss in this chapter what basically is sustainability and what basically is business ethics, how the things are related, so that our businesses can be undertaken in an effective way. So we'll discuss the evolution of understanding what basically is sustainability and the importance of integrating the business ethics with sustainability practices. The first and very important thing about sustainability, we'll discuss about environmental sustainability, because if my business is not environmentally acceptable, then my business is not going to withstand for a longer period of time. There are different important global challenges, like say we have the global warming and the greenhouse gas emissions. We have the impact on the ozone layer depletion. So we have different important regulatory measures that are being put forward by the government, like the government regulations and the corporate compliance. For example, the Volkswagen's emission scandal and the recall of the vehicles from the roads. So corporate interpretations of sustainability suggest different important approaches, wherein the British Petroleum's new products and services, Shell has Shell has incorporated it as the integral part of business principle. What does the industry demand? The industry demands adoption of sustainable practices in various sectors. For example, automobile, logistic, nowadays in every sector, the sustainability practices are being incorporated. Now, there are different important ethical dilemmas in sustainability, what we can say about the challenges, wherein we have to balance between sustainability and business goals. There is a pressure to avoid initiatives harming marginalized communities or local cultures. And this can be done by expanding the concept of sustainability, that is beyond environmental impact. How we can do it? By incorporating economic and social considerations. For example, the sustainable supply chains, the fair labor practices and community engagement, so that people will be benefited. So business ethics and sustainability brings about integration of ethics in decision making, in sustainability initiatives, and the importance of transparency in the businesses that we undertake, and we are accountable for any type of problems that are being occurred. If we are not accountable, we cannot undertake our businesses effectively. We have to be accountable. There are different important case studies that define sustainability, or that addresses sustainability and business ethics. The first one is the Volkswagen emission scandal, that I have said that it was incorporating unethical practices to bypass the emission norms, and as a result of the consequence was the cars were recalled. And positive examples can be the companies that are successfully integrating sustainability and ethics. In the future, the companies are going for sustainable innovation, such that there is development of eco-friendly products and services. So, and they are also incorporating corporate responsibility, and they think that it is their responsibility to undertake to incorporate the strategies, such that they can carry on with the businesses through increased focus on ethical practices and sustainability. The sustainability also encompasses environmental, economic, and social dimensions, and the importance of business ethics in achieving true sustainability. Now, we already have come out with the thing that without without business ethics, business sustainability is very difficult, and if we don't understand what basically is business ethics, it will be difficult for us to sustain in any part of the business or any activity that we undertake. So business ethics education is very very important for every individual that is in the for them in the management curriculum, because when we are going for taking the decisions, when we are going for taking the decisions in the organizations, and we are not incorporating, if we are not moral, our businesses will not sustain. So there is a debate over the place of business ethics education in management education, and we'll discuss the historical context and the evolving nature of business ethics education. In the historical context, we will discuss on early adoption of Harvard Business School, where first of all this business ethics was introduced in 1928, and again it was dropped in 1935. It was again reintroduced in 1958 as business, society, and individual, and in 1988 it was incorporated as decision making and ethical values. It was incorporated as a course. The different important debates on business ethics were being conducted, wherein the importance of business ethics was being identified as a distinct academic subject. It was introduced. Standalone courses versus integrated module was being incorporated. There was it also impacted on the corporate scandals, where like say we had this Enron and WorldCom scandals. Accreditation agencies also pushed for compulsory BE courses in the curriculum. So there are different important criticisms of management education, where we have the Sumantra Ghosal's critic, where it identifies, which says that toxic education focusing solely on profit making, lack of human and social connections in management theories, because if only we go for discussing on profit maximization, we are not moral, we are not real, then whatever theories or whatever things that you do in the organization, it will be of no use. According to Rakesh Khurana's perspective, market where it concentrates on market fundamentalism and shareholder primacy, there is also the responsibility limited to financial results. So these are some of the criticisms of the management education. So it also impacted on toxic teaching. Like say we had this Akerlof and Schiller's argument, which identifies the connection between business cycles with ethical practices, and there is also rationalization of unethical conduct during the financial crisis. William Collins, which he identified how the mighty fall. There are 5 stages of ethical degeneration in executives. They are the hubris, ruthless pursuit, risk denial, hedonistic adaptation, and capitulation. So the 5 stages of ethical degeneration includes first stage is hubris, that is being the success as deserved, not earned. Second stage is ruthless pursuit, wherein there is myopic focus on more, losing track of organizational interest. Third stage is risk denial, where you ignore the risk. There is and it leading to hedonistic adaptation. What is hedonistic adaptation? Illusionary pursuit of material well-being. And fifth stage is capitulation, wherein there is fascination with irrelevant solutions leading to failure. If you go on thinking of a failure and failure and failure, or if you go on thinking of irrelevant things or irrelevant solutions, then it will lead to failure. There are new norms for responsible management. That is, the first one is the response to criticism. There is a shift towards responsible management and learning among the people. Now people or organizations are teaching responsible management, where there is standalone courses in universities or in colleges on ethics, CSR, and sustainability. They are also the organizations are also organizing responsible management education initiatives. Like say they are organizing different type of workshops and seminars, so that people can learn from those and incorporate it in their organization. educations. Now, role of stakeholders also plays a very important element in responsible management. Now, they act as the instructors, that is teaching responsible management practices, so that because it identifies that if we are investing, we have to get the return, and the return has to be sustainable, the return has to be continuous. So if ethics is not there, returns won't be continuous. Now, the management schools are providing ethical education and resources. The learners are committed to responsible individual learning, and business organizations are building an ethical climate within the organization so that business ethics can be well incorporated. Now, coming to the effectiveness of business ethics instruction. Now, when I'm talking about business ethics instruction, it is very important yet very difficult, because when we are instructing someone to be ethical in the work, people might accept, people might not accept, but we have to bring about effectiveness such that we whatever things we undertake in the organization, it is done in an effective way, and it is done in a process wherein people can understand. So we will discuss on contention surrounding the business ethics instruction in management education, and the importance of business ethics despite skepticism and criticisms. There are different important arguments against business ethics instructions, that is through developed ethical standards, wherein the argument is the college participants have pre-established ethics. The shareholders value maximization where there is conflict with the ethics instruction. The corporate scandals where there is reflection of perceived failure in ethics education. So, growing the importance of business ethics instructions can be through, through education again. That is, in education again, we have different important agencies which will check, which will see, which will force us to implement ethics in our businesses. That is through the accreditation agencies, like say we have the accreditation agencies like EQUIS, CSB, AMBA, which are the mandatory inclusion of business ethics in the curriculum. The impact of corporate scandals, like say, also plays a very important role in incorporating business ethics. Like say, we had this Enron crisis in 2001 and 2018 subprime crisis. Now, what is the role of these accreditation agencies? There is mandatory inclusion, like say we have the EQUIS A, CSB, and AMBA's requirements, wherein you have to incorporate ethics in the work that you are doing, in the activities that you are doing. You should incorporate CSR activities in the organization. You have to give a data. You have to give a data of whatever CSR activities that you undertake, how much investment you have done, so on and so forth. And another mandatory inclusion is emphasis on integrating ethics into the curriculum. There are different important scholarly perspectives, like say we have the Gia Calon and Vargo's argument, where there is high correlation between unethical behavior and MBA degree holders, and the diagnosis is there is bad management theories and the profit maximization. The problem with management theories is there is a cult of profit maximization, wherein we have this Chicago schools economic motivation model, where and the self-interest and the opportunistic behavior, wherein and second is there is self-interest and opportunistic behavior which is encouraged in the organization. There is the impact of bad management theories, because we have this corporate greed where managers are cutting ethical corners, and the result is there is increased corporate scandals. Now, the positive outcome of management ethics instruction is there is enhanced ethical awareness in the organization, wherein there is sensitization of the future managers to ethical dilemmas. There is when there is incorporation of business ethics in the organization, there is better decision making skills, where there is integrating ethics into everyday business decisions. There is a cultural shift that is moving from profit centric to value driven business practices. Because if you go on only on earning profit and thinking about the profit, your business will not be sustainable in the long run. So we have to shift from profit centric to value driven business practices so that we can undertake the business in the long run. There are different important cases of this, like say we have the successful integration in companies effectively implementing ethical. When companies are implementing ethical practices, they are very much effective. And the impact of ethical training, wherein we have the examples of business schools with strong ethics program, which are being incorporated to shape the decision making skills, shape the individual students such that they can implement it in their future endeavors. So there are different important challenges and future directions, wherein we have the ongoing skepticism, there is continuous resistance and criticisms. There is a need for comprehensive approach, wherein there is integrating. We should integrate ethics across all the aspects of business education, and in the future also we have to focus emphasizing ethical leadership and long term value creation, which will create value for not only our organizations but also for the businesses, and also for the individual who are working on it. Now, coming to the concept, next chapter, which is identified is business ethics and oxymoron. Now, when I talk about business ethics as an oxymoron, I talk about exploring the relationship between business ethics and profit maximization. Now, some of the companies, they say that only profit maximization should be the sole objective, and in some organizations they say if ethics is not there, profit will not be of any use. So there is a common cynicism where business ethics is often viewed skeptically. The main question is, can we engage in ethical decision making while maximizing the profit? The cynical viewpoint suggests there is antagonistic relationship where we have ethical decisions versus profit maximization. So oxymoron concept says why some consider business ethics an oxymoron. So the importance of business ethics again comes to the picture. Business ethics in education also comes to the picture, where we concentrate on, or where we discuss on the historical context, debating on including the business ethics in management education. And the recent trend is there is increased emphasis due to ethical breakdowns in corporate world, and the different important accreditation agencies like AACSB, AMBA, ICWIS promoting ethics education in the institutions. So when we are going for this ethics education, there is implementation in these schools. In the course structures, they are being included as standalone courses. They are also included as the elective courses. They are also included as integrated modules in various functional areas. For example, we have ethics in marketing, we have ethics in finance, we have ethics in HR, we have ethics in corporate strategy, so on and so forth. So if ethics is incorporated, it suggests that if ethics is incorporated in our basic education in the schools, then it is very much easier for the individual to accept the ethics in the working that the individual does, and this will impact in general to the businesses that he undertakes. So there are different important debates and discussions on this, which can be incorporated so that we can understand the business ethics. Like say we have different important pedagogical tools, these tools are used for effective methods of teaching business ethics, because in schools and colleges also nowadays different important tools are being developed so that it becomes interesting for the students to understand how they can undertake the businesses in an ethical way. So different methods of teaching have come forward so that people can understand the importance of ethics well. There are different important innovative approaches wherein there is encouraging the participant centered learning, The skills of the managers are also developed by preparing to handle ethical dilemmas, because if in the organization the things are not done ethically, there will be problem, and when there will be problem, it is the task of the manager to sort it out. So through this business ethics in corporation or education, the managers can develop their skills to handle the ethical dilemmas properly. Now, there are two important views, distinction that arises between the shareholder and the stakeholder views. According to the shareholder views, which has been put forwarded by, according to Milton Friedman, the main argument is business sole objective is profit maximization. Okay, and the manager's role is maximize the shareholder value within legal and social norms. So, shareholder value, as put forward by Friedman, suggests that business sole objective is profit maximization, and the manager's role. What is the manager's role? Maximizing the shareholder value within legal and social. And according to but the stakeholder view, it is broader. There is a broader responsibility to various stakeholders, because the business has to be undertaken in a sustainable manner. There are different important arguments supporting to the shareholders' view. The first is responsibility, where managers must prioritize their shareholders' investments. The expertise should be with the managers. Expertise suggests that managers are not trained to address the public policy focus on profit maximization. There are different important counter arguments and broader perspectives, like say we have the stakeholder theory, the importance of considering the wider community and the ethical responsibilities, and the long-term success can happen through ethical practices, potentially leading to sustainable profitability. Now we have come to the area that we need to now understand what we have to do. Do we have to go for shareholder theory, or do we have to accept the stakeholder theory? Do we have to understand that profit is the sole element that we are striving for? Do we have to find out that value is important that we are striving for? What will take my business ahead? There are two important dominant views that we'll be discussing. The first one is we will be discussing it by understanding that what is the purpose of our business. Why are we going to undertake the business? What is the purpose of business? So I have to first identify, explore what is my fundamental work, purpose of business, why I am undertaking the business. And then I have to identify that what is the difference between the shareholder theory and the stakeholder theory. Now, the shareholder theory uh, identifies a school of thought that is the Chicago School of Economics, where human beings are considered as Homo economicus. There is focus on maximizing economic welfare. What is this? It is suggesting that if we are starting a business, we have to see that how the business is growing. We are least bothered about what the people are thinking. We are only concerned about our businesses. According to Milton Friedman, there is a prominent advocate of shareholder value maximization. He quotes, few trends could so thoroughly undermine the very foundations of our free society as the acceptance by the corporate officials of a social responsibility other than to make as much money for their stockholders as possible. So it is suggesting that there are different important trends that can thoroughly undermine the very foundation of our society as the acceptance by the corporate officials of a social responsibility other than to make as much money for their stockholders as possible. So there are different important views, the dominant views. One is the argument for the shareholder. That is the argument for the shareholders theory, where the first important aspect is the profit maximization. Profit maximization is the primary responsibility of the shareholders, such that if it identifies that if the company is not economically efficient, and when there is no growth, then the system will not sustain. But then here another thing is what we have to identify: what is the responsibility of the management, of the manager, that it should identify that there is investment of shareholders money, and the managers are not trained as public policy makers. So these are the arguments for shareholder theory. Now, what are the arguments for stakeholder theory? Now, according to Paul Samuelson's views, there is advocacy for stakeholder management. There is a code which suggests that a large corporations these days not only may engage in social responsibility, but it had also damn well better try to do so. So it is suggesting that our large corporations not only should engage in social responsibility, but also it should damn well better try to do so. Okay. For example, next we have the contribution from Edward Freeman towards it, where he advocates on strategic management, a stakeholder approach. He proposes four fundamental propositions for this. And when we are talking about this, we identify that how we can undertake this. So what is the business for? We'll discuss what is the business for. The two important views are to be discussed here. The first one is the separation fallacy. The proposition is business and ethics are managed separately. No, business and ethics cannot be managed separately. They both of them has to go hand in hand. The integration thesis, which proposes, that is the proposition 2, business decisions have ethical content, ethical decisions have business. So there is an open question argument, which is proposition 3, questions for decision making: for whom the value is created or destroyed, who is harmed or benefited, whose rights are enabled and values are realized, what kind of person will I become. So these are some of the questions that comes on in the minds of the individual. So when I'm talking about businesses, I have to identify why am I undertaking the business, and what are the things I have to carry with me so that my business becomes a sustainable one. So we have different important views. We are talking about the dominant views, which is talking about separation fallacy, which identifies that business and ethics are being managed properly, and the integration thesis suggests that business decisions have ethical content and ethical decisions have business content. So there is an open question argument, the questions for decision making: for whom are we creating the value or we are destroying it? Who is harmed by it and who is benefited out of it? Whose rights are being enabled, whose values are realized, what kind of person I will become, so on and so forth. So the responsibility principle suggests accept that there should be acceptance of responsibilities for the actions effects on other. Now I'm doing a work but I'm not responsible, then it is not going to solve our purpose. So whenever I am undertaking any activity in the organization, I have to, if at all any problem arises, I have to accept it, that it was my responsibility and there I had done wrong. So unless and until you accept, you will not be in a position to correct yourself. So there is acceptance of responsibility for actions effects on others. Now what is the importance of the stakeholders theory? the corporate governance failures can be identified through corporate governance failures. How? Now, through calls for ethical responsibility, ethical personhood of corporations. For example, we have the online gaming industry. We all have come across this online gaming industry, where there is growth and popularity, which brings about fast growing industry, which we see in fast growing industry. There is cross gender, religion and national appeal. Okay. And the different dominant views also brings about ethical dilemma in online gaming, where there is addiction, consumer addiction. Like say we were discussing about impact of COVID-19 on online entertainment. You all have seen that during COVID-19 we have to stay at home, and we were engaged in different online things, and there were certain things which should not be watched by our children, but the children's have children's are used to it, and there are innovations to keep the consumers hooked. It has also brought about mental health concerns, where there is addiction akin to toxic substances, and it has also brought about public health issues. In general, it is telling that whenever we are going for these two important views, the comparison of these two theories can be more understood when we can understand the stakeholders theory and the shareholder theory. According to the shareholder theory, there is focus on profit maximization, and according to the stakeholders theory, there is broader social responsibility. So shareholder, because they have invested money, they will be concentrating on how they will get the return more, but the stakeholder should also not compromise on social responsibility, and it should have a broader it should have a broader social responsibility, so that it can understand the business, it can value the business, it can bring about ethicality in the business, so on and so forth. So ethical considerations in business practices has to be undertaken. There should be a good involvement of ethical elements in the businesses, in order to see that our business sustains in the long run. So we have to see that whatever activities we do, we should incorporate ethics, so that our businesses can be undertaken in the long run. Our business goes long run, we can create a value through it, people can understand our businesses well, people can go along with the business as well, and in general our business will be a sustainable one. So the ethical considerations plays a very important role in the undertaking of the businesses. And next is there should be a balance that should be maintained between profit and between profit and responsibility, that is the corporate social responsibility. So there should be a balance maintained, because if you are not maintaining balance, if you only concentrate on profit, so if we only concentrate on profit, it will not solve our purpose. And if we are only concentrating on responsibility, on ethics and all that, it is also not going to solve our business, solve our purpose. So in order to make the business a sustainable one, we have to find out a balance between profit and responsibility. So in general, I should say that whenever we are talking about businesses, we have to talk about responsibility, we have to talk about ethics. So if this is done, then our profit will increase, our organization or our businesses will be a sustainable one. There are some important terms that I have been using during this slide. I hope all have understood this, but for your better understanding, let me again just read out what are the different important definitions that one has to keep in the mind while reading this business ethics. First and very important thing we have to keep in our mind, that what basically is business ethics. Business ethics is a prescribed code of conduct for businesses, and it is a set of guidelines Mainly, it is a set of guidelines for considering various procedures ethically. Various procedures ethically. Next is law. Law is a rule of conduct developed by the government or the society over a certain territory. All the laws will not be same for different locations. So depending on the locality, or you may say that depending on the territory, laws will be incorporated. Now, a stakeholder, who is a stakeholder? A stakeholder management is the process by which you organize. Stakeholder management is the process by which you organize, monitor, and improve your relationship with your stakeholders. And then we have also discussed about globalization. It is the word used to describe the growing interdependence of the world's economies, culture, and populations brought about by cross border trade in goods and services, technology, and flows of investment, people, and information. We have also discussed about sustainability. Now we'll discuss what basically sustainability. It means meeting our own needs, meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It's not that we go on doing the things without thinking about what our future will be, what our society will be, what our environment will be. We can't avoid that. In order to make ourselves sustainable, in order to make ourselves develop, we can't ignore the society, we can't ignore the problems that is arising out of you. So sustainability is meeting our own needs without compromising our future generations needs. Okay. And last and very important thing we have to keep in our mind is the responsible management learning. It is concerned with how change initiatives in organizations and groups of managers within the organization may learn and change in socially and environmentally responsible ways. So we have to take a challenge, we have to make ourselves aware, we have to be answerable to the society. If we are answerable to the society and we do the work through which society is not in problem, then obviously our businesses will be undertaken in an effective way and our businesses will be sustainable. So in order to see that we are in a safe place in the business, we have to adopt business ethics. So business ethics is very important. Business ethics has to be incorporated in our education system. Business ethics will help us in understanding the activities, how to undertake it, and business ethics will thus bring about sustainable business in the long run. Thank you very much for hearing from me, and I hope I am in a position to make you clear what basically is business ethics in Unit 1. Thank you and have a nice day. Thank you.